Welcome to The Right Focus, a podcast for writers, newbies, and veterans, and everyone in between. We're hosted by M.A. Lee with the assistance of Remy Black and Edie Rooms, all from Writers Inc. Books. Our focus is productivity, process, craft, and tools. Each episode lasts as long as it takes to fix a quick dinner, drive a short commute, or take a brisk walk. Resources and links are in the show notes. Visit us at therightfocus.blogspot.com. Now, on to this week's episode. Welcome to the official start of autumn. We're 2 episodes into our Fall into Poetry series. This is the 3rd, with a focus this season on poets who also write fiction. Our primary question is how writing poetry made our guest a better fiction writer, but I guarantee we'll delve into a lot of other corners of writing as well. Today's guest is Michael Cody, a songwriter-poet who has now added fiction to his repertoire with short stories and novels. He finds poetry does more than enrich his words, deepening works in a wealth of ways. Here's the interview. This is Michael Cody.
Right. Yeah.
I think I saw you at a meeting of our local chapter.
Yes, one meeting, and I think you were there, maybe sitting in the back of the room. I don't remember exactly, but we didn't officially meet at that time.
I always try to sit at the back.
Yeah. Okay.
I work better at the back.
Okay.
I don't talk so much if I'm at the back.
All right.
So, yeah. What do you write?
So far, I've been writing a variety of things. I've gotten into crime fiction just recently. My first novel, Gabriel's Songbook, 2017, was kind of a coming of age sort of auto fiction based loosely on my my years as a songwriter in Nashville in my 20s. And then the second book was a collection of short stories, and they are all set in the year 1999 in the little town that I have created where I base all my stuff. I've used some other settings a little bit, but everything is kind of based around this little town called Runyon. And the short stories are a variety of stories, each one set in a different month in 1999. So the character of the stories changes with the weather. And then the new novel, Streets of Nashville, I set out to write a crime novel, which I had never done before, but I wanted to give that a try because I've been reading a lot of it for a long time. And so that's that. And I've got a new novel coming out in, I think, May of next year called Avalon Moon. And it's kind of a crime Appalachian Gothic.
Oh, that should be good.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun writing it.
That's almost like, what is her name? Sharon
McCrum.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, she's one of our I don't know that I've ever met her. She's been on, I teach at ETSU, East Tennessee State University.
Right.
And so I know she has been, I'm getting ready to start my 25th year here.
Right.
So she has been on campus a time or two over that period. And I think I've met her, but she doesn't come around very often. Some of my colleagues know her a little better than I do.
Right.
But I've always enjoyed her works a little bit, and I also have used some of them in class. There was an early novel called The Hangman's Beautiful Daughter.
I remember that title.
I really loved that novel, and one of her ballad novels I really loved a lot and have used in class, and the name of it is escaping me at the moment. It might be Rosewood Casket, but I'm not sure.
A Rosewood Casket was the one I was going to name because my mother used to sing that little song to us.
Yeah.
There's a little rosewood casket. Oh my word. I took that out into the world. And the one I met her in, Sharon McCrum in as a writer, was She Walks These Hills.
That's the one that I used. That's it.
Ah,
Not Rosewood
mhm,
Casket. I've read
yeah.
that and loved it, but She Walks These Hills is the one that I've used in class in an Appalachian Gothic class.
Do you use a lot of the Appalachian superstitions about don't walk in, if you hear somebody call to you your name when you're in the woods in Appalachia, don't turn around?
Those things, they sort of raise their head in my work. I didn't grow up in a culture that was really tied into that much.
Right.
I was sort of
Mhm.
adjacent to that, but
Yeah.
my growing up was sort of Appalachian Free Will Baptist, and
Yes, yes.
that sort of upbringing, which didn't, I mean, I was aware of those things and I have become more aware of them
Mhm.
lately. Um, but uh, but they don't make it into my fiction too much, except sort of maybe looming in the background. I mean, there's a good bit of it in the new forthcoming novel,
Mhm.
Avalon Moon. Um, there was in one of the stories in the story collection, which is called A Twilight Reel. In one of the stories, there was a young girl about 5 or 6 years old who never says anything in the story, but the story kind of implied that she had some kind of, what would they say in the mountains, that she was touched in some way,
Yes. Mhm.
right? And um, that's hinted at in the story.
Mhm.
Uh, and uh, And when I came to write Avalon Moon, I think I maybe when the stories were out, I did a thing for a book club. And one of the members of the book club said, "Well, Livy, I want to know more about Livy. What happens to her?" And so when I started working on Avalon Moon, I just brought Livy back into the story, and she's now like 20 years old and does have some sort of power that's not necessarily
I want to
defined.
read that book.
Okay.
You're giving
Hopefully
me
it'll be
cold
out.
chills.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be
That's
out in May, but
okay.
it
I
was a lot
definitely
of,
want to read that, and I want to pick your
yeah.
brain
Okay.
because I have spent the last 4 years writing a series of short stories set in Nottingham in Sherwood Forest,
Hmm.
and it's a sort of mixture. This is under a different pen name, but it's a mixture of history and fantasy working together.
Yes.
And in the past 2 years, I've been thinking, what if you did a sort of historical fantasy where you had the settlers of this Appalachian region encountering the strangeness of Appalachia along with the Native Americans?
Right.
And that's really intriguing me. And so I
Yeah.
may want to pick your brain sometime.
That's
Um,
that's a great idea. I would like.
okay, great. It started up again.
All right.
I got to keep my hands away from things. I talk
All
too
right.
much with my hands. I
I
should sit on
understand.
them.
I've got mine held behind my back to
All right,
avoid that.
Michael,
Yep.
you said you were a songwriter.
Hmm.
Have you written poetry and songs all of your life? And I'm sorry, I'm going to
Um,
mail something that people don't normally mail. But
okay.
I did this when I started teaching, and it was very helpful from my high school students. Songs that you hear on the radio and
Right.
in videos now, those are poems. Uh, so have you always written poetry?
Um, I would from my work, I mean, yes, is the answer. When I was in high school, I played starting about eighth grade, into the eighth grade, into the ninth grade. I started playing in the sort of proverbial garage band.
Yes.
Only ours was a chicken coop band because we practiced in an old commercial chicken coop, and so as that band developed through the ninth grade, 10th grade, I started learning guitar from the guitar players in the band.
Hmm.
And the next thing that just seemed natural to me was to start writing songs. And so yes, that's what I had always done up until about the time I was 30. Now, one thing I would say that for me, and I completely agree with you about the about songs being poetry, but they're also story.
Yes.
And so, uh, so when I decided, at 30 years old, I moved back from Nashville, married my seventh grade sweetheart, and started back to school to get to finish my degree.
Mhm.
I had started out as a music major here in Mars Hill at Mars Hill College over in North Carolina, and but I never finished the degree. So when I
Mhm.
came back from Nashville, got married, I went back to school as an English major. Uh, Partially because I wanted to finish the degree for one thing, but the other thing was that I wanted to make myself kind of force myself into writing something besides songs, right? So I did take a poetry workshop, um, and never felt comfortable trying to do poetry.
Mhm.
Um, it always felt to me like, I mean, I've published a little bit of poetry, but it always felt to me like there's something I was supposed to be doing in poetry that I didn't know how to do.
Right.
And my songs were always so narrative oriented that it seemed more natural to me to go into fiction out of songwriting than into poetry. And so yes, I mean, my first works of fiction, my first couple of stories that I had published were based on songs that I had written, songs that I knew had more story to them that I could fit in the song format.
Mhm.
I mean, I liked them as songs, loved them as songs, but um, I saw the potential for making story out of them, and so that's what I used my first fiction writing workshop, and ultimately those both of them ended up getting published out of those growing out of songs. And so I've
Mhm.
always used music a lot in my work in my fiction.
What, how do you find that poetry helps you as a fiction writer, and how does fiction help you as a poet?
Um, I think I've thought a lot about this, and it occurs to me almost every time I sit down to write fiction. There's something about the discipline of finding just the right word and the rhythm of the words and the colors of the words, um, that I feel like I've been able to translate from songwriting into the fiction. And so what I have found is that I feel like that the long experience with songwriting gave me a sense of how um, just the impact of a single word, right? And gave me an opportunity to learn how to find that word, more quickly. Um, and so I think that the songwriting allowed me um, to be a sort of a deeper drafter, if that makes sense,
Yes.
and also a sense of pace, right? Because in songwriting and in poetry, um, but I'm gonna keep referring to it as songwriting. In songwriting, a single line, a single word carries a lot of weight, right? A lot of sort of deep structure to it,
Mhm.
and because it has to imply more than it actually says,
Yes. Mhm.
right? And so that has translated over into my fiction as well, I think. I think that just and just sort of the ear for language that developed through the songwriting,
Mhm.
I think has helped me a tremendous amount um, in my fiction writing. And there's a certain um, sort of musical elegance that I try to shoot for in my prose.
Yes.
And
The
some,
structures of rhetorical devices like
Mhm.
alliteration and
Yes.
repetition and those repeated phrases at the beginning. I think that's anaphora, and the repeated phrases
Hmm.
at the end, epistrophe.
Yes.
Those and the building of ideas, one larger than the next and the next, oesis. Those are
Exactly.
extremely helpful in the fiction, and I think they come out of poetry.
Hmm.
They
I
come out of
agree.
drama and poetry, which is a performed art.
Right. Yeah, I agree totally.
Mhm.
Um, and I find myself doing those kinds of things
Mhm.
quite often in what I write.
Right, right.
So,
How do you find that fiction helps you be a stronger poet?
um, I think maybe in uh, sort of being open to a broader base of ideas. Maybe because in fiction, I mean, you can't have that. You can have the focused imagery that you have in songwriting, but um, I think with fiction, for me at least, it allows me to be how do I say this? A songwriter that works even more so with imagery, but even introducing dialogue into songs and or trying to get a song to sort of perform as dialogue,
Mhm.
right? So to hear the storyteller in the story, right? To hear that voice of the storyteller inside the story that's being told in the song. I think that's and persona. I think probably fiction helps me uh, achieve a sense of persona in the songwriting.
Creating a voice who then the personality is developed through the
Yeah.
ideas of the poem.
Yes. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah. Um, and I think that the it sort of works vice versa with the songs as well, in that what we were just talking about the building of imagery and such. One of my most recent songs that people seem to like a lot, it just has these sort of things that I think came from the fiction, but they go back, they map onto the songs well, in that, just the essence of an idea or the essence of an image. Um, like think about the creepy sort of stuff, like the
Mhm.
Appalachian Gothic, so there's a bridge in this one song that says something along the lines of when sleep doesn't come easy,
Right.
and the floor creaks in the hall, and the kitchen glows with laptop light, and the clock ticks on the wall.
Ooh.
So that's a nice sort of series of images that can be creepy and haunting,
Mhm.
and sort of capture that mood,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
And so I think some of that comes back to the songwriting from the fiction.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it stronger.
Hmm.
Uh, it's almost as if, um, how do I want to say this? The ballads are formed on three ideas, and you work within those three ideas of love and betrayal and death.
Hmm.
Those are common in whatever ballad that you pick up. Do you find yourself working through a series of poems like that? That these are going to be three things, and you may not have any other commonalities except those three subject matters.
I do. I've got a song, a recent song called "So Much Depends," right? So
Hmm.
there's the old William Carlos Williams poem, that
Right.
wonderful, "So Much
The
Depends."
red
Red
wheelbarrow.
wheelbarrow. Well, this is "So Much Depends," but it takes that idea and it goes through three verses
Hmm.
and just builds on that, right?
Right.
So much depends upon where you're from and who raised you up, right? That's the first verse, begins there. So much depends upon your education and how you value your own mind. So
Hmm.
there's the second verse. Um, let's see. So much depends upon the monsters in you and the mayhem that they make.
Oh, I like
So it
that.
just builds like that, and so I
Yeah.
find that I've got another one called let's see, um, Dark Corners.
Hmm.
And it does the same thing. It just does several versions of Dark Corners,
Hmm.
right? Um, I woke up the other morning. I haven't done anything with this, but just within the last 2 or 3 days, I was sort of in that kind of dream state just before waking up, and I somehow latched onto the word drone, right? And I immediately started dreaming in terms of a song that would talk about the drone, like the sort of the the repetitive sound, right?
Right.
Like the
Yeah.
droning of an instrument, right?
Yes.
Um, but then there's also the drone that is, sort of the worker bee, right?
Yes.
That
Yes.
drone. And then there's also, the drones we probably hear more about these days, which are the things that fly and keep an eye on us and
Mm-hmm.
threaten people's lives with weaponry and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So just finding that one word, and I just wrote it down. I said drone, and just basically what I just said to you.
Right.
And so I can see that developing into sort of a tiered song like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like all those.
yeah. And
Uh,
so I think it'd be fun to do, and hopefully effective as well.
yes. So if you're going to have an evening where you're going to be singing your songs, I want to be there.
Okay. Well, Johnson City, August 29th.
Too far.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry. Yeah, I don't go far afield these days, but you can catch a song here and there. And I've got a whole SoundCloud page of probably 80 to 100 songs
Hmm.
of mine there. So
Send that link.
I can send that to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can
Because
can
I
hear.
forgot to ask you to make sure that you give me a brief bio.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, right. I forgot to do
and
that.
I hate this term, headshot. But that's what they
Yes.
called it in journalism.
Yes,
We need a
gotcha.
headshot. And I'm going like, ah.
Right. And I know enough at this point to know what you're talking about. So I'll get those to you. The one song that I mentioned a while ago about the floor creaking in the hall, I just have a little homemade video of that on my Goodreads page,
Uh-huh.
uh, that you can check out. Just me sitting in the kitchen playing that
Right.
song.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, I will send you that stuff, and you
Okay.
can share it with
This
folks.
episode is going to air October 1st.
Okay.
So do you have anything that you would like to promote?
Well, October 1st is the day the manuscript of Avalon Moon is due to the publisher. So,
Ah,
but it's
well,
not.
who's your publisher?
It's Madville Publishing out of Texas.
Okay.
Um, they have done. I worked with Pisgah Press in Asheville for the first two books, the Gabriel
Mhm.
Songbook and A Twilight Reel, and then Streets of Nashville, the more recent, the one that just came out in April, is Madville, and Avalon Moon will be Madville as well.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
but to promote, I mean, the active thing going right now is Streets of Nashville,
Right.
which is my crime story that I wanted desperately to write, but didn't know exactly what I was doing. I think I knew it wasn't a mystery. I don't think I'm clever enough to write a mystery.
Oh, they're
Uh,
hard.
yeah, I didn't get into that, but I
I have so much trouble laying my clues.
yeah. So I don't think that doesn't seem like something I would be able to do well. And in fact, when I finished the draft, I thought, okay, what have I done? Um, and I started looking at various descriptions of in that genre of crime, and I came across the suspense,
Yes.
and that definition that I saw, which was, the reader knows. I think the definition said something like the reader knows there's a bomb, and what happens is the main character doesn't know, and so the suspense comes from trying to pull for the main character to find it or get away from it.
Right.
So Streets of Nashville works something like that. A 30-year-old songwriter out walking on Music Row late at night witnesses a triple murder.
Hmm.
Uh, but even though the killer sees him, he himself is not shot, right? And so he becomes, it just kind of starts this sort of cat and mouse game because he knows the killer is going to have to deal with him at some point. And
Right.
really the character Ezra McCrae, really all he wants to do is just write his songs. He cleans pools for his living while he's trying to make it as a songwriter.
Yeah.
And so he's not a sleuth. He's not trying to solve the crime. He's just trying to survive. And
Hmm.
this killer
Yeah.
starts taunting him and kind of stalking him, and becomes kind of obsessed with him as the killer's mind sort of begins to unravel.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and so that's where I think the suspense comes in, is just how is this going to resolve? What's going to
Mhm.
happen to Ezra? He just wants to write songs, you know, um, and yet he's got this thing looming over him, this shadow, you know, trailing him.
Right. Right.
Uh, and so
And he
that's
said the publisher is Madville.
Madville.
That
Yeah.
sounds perfect. That book
Yeah.
sounds perfect for that publisher.
Right. And I did ask them at one point, somebody had asked me I think it was at the Knoxville Book Festival last spring. Somebody said, "Well, where'd that name come from?" And I didn't know.
Hmm.
But I think it's maybe a town in Texas. It might have been called Madison, or it's something like that.
Right.
And that was just sort of the local nickname for it, was Madville.
Yeah.
So that's where the publisher got the name from.
It almost
But
sounds like
it
it
does.
belongs over in the mountains of East Tennessee.
Right, it does fit. And Madville actually has a number of Appalachian writers, especially poets,
Right.
that have been published by the company.
And I'm glad poets are finding publishers,
Yes, me too.
because it felt like for a while that you couldn't find any recent books by poets.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm glad to see that that's still happening, you
Yeah.
know.
Right now there are lots of really wonderful independent publishers doing poetry.
Hmm.
And so I'm like you, I'm very happy about that. I've got
Yeah.
I've got friends here in the department, colleagues who are poets and able to find good, solid publishing houses,
Hmm.
small although they may be, but um, they're putting out some good stuff. And one of them, our poet laureate, who's on campus, poet in residence, I guess we would say. Jesse Graves is a well-known Appalachian poet, and of course he publishes with sort of larger presses like university presses.
Right. Hmm.
But but yeah, there's some really wonderful small imprint publishers who are doing great things for poetry
Hmm.
these days.
Yeah. With the demise of print publications,
Hmm.
you seem to have lost that market for those, but they're surging back, I think,
I think
through
so
the
too.
electronic world.
I
Mm.
think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to go into a bookstore, an independent bookstore in a town like Johnson City or over in Asheville, or
Yeah.
um, there's a wonderful one out in the little town of Sylvan, North Carolina, that has a wonderful City Lights bookstore,
Hmm.
and just see this whole shelf of poetry and Appalachian fiction.
Hmm.
It's just really wonderful.
Yeah. Great. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about?
Um, Well, let's see. Nothing that comes specifically to mind. I mean, I hope that people will take a look at Streets of Nashville and be on the lookout for Avalon Moon come
May,
May, I think,
my
of 20.
birthday month.
All right, good, good, good. If anybody wants to read something online, I've got a couple of stories. There was a journal, they've stopped publishing in the last few months, but their archive is still online. It's called
Mhm.
Still, the Journal.
Mhm.
It came out of I think out of Kentucky somewhere, but they did a lot of wonderful Appalachian publishing, and one of my stories that hopefully will be for the next collection. And my first monster story, called Pain Mountain, is on Still, and so I did my first time trying a little historical It's like set in the 1890s in Appalachia. So, yeah.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Michael.
Well, I enjoyed it. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, great.
And, maybe we'll do this again when Avalon Moon is out.
That touch of Appalachian Gothic and the power of lyric of Michael's writing create a wonderful start to these October episodes. Remember, pursue the particular and peculiar that sets your own writing apart from the ordinary. And whatever occurs, write on. Thanks for listening to The Right Focus, a podcast for writers at all levels, hosted by Emma Lee from Writers Inc. Books, assisted by Remy Black and Edie Runes. Our focus is productivity, process, craft, and tools. Music is licensed through Audio Jungle, called Background Music Loop. Its creator is Alexander Polishchuk, known on Audio Jungle as Plastic 3. The music comes in different iterations. Show notes and resource links for this and other episodes can be found at therightfocus.blogspot.com. Write to us at winkbooks@aol.com when you have questions, comments, and speculations. We will try to answer you as quickly as possible. By the way, we will not mind your email address. That's rude. If you find value in our content, share with your writing friends or write a review. We're small beans here without the advertising budget of the big peeps, and you can make a difference. And whatever occurs, write on.